Hey guys, Nick with PhoneArena here, and today we're reviewing for you the new HTC Desire 816. It is a phone that HTC is describing as a flagship mid-range. Basically, it is a mid-range device, but it comes with many features that people tend to associate with higher-end devices, such as the large display, quad-core processor, and a generous 13-megapixel camera. All of this can be yours for under $400 unlocked, which seems like a good deal. But is the HTC Desire 816 worth picking up? Let's check it out. So this is it guys, the HTC Desire 816. We have to say that we're quite happy with its minimalist design, with its straight lines and subtle curves. The phone is essentially made of plastic, but it feels solid and reliable in the hand. The trim on the side has a rubbery-like finish to it, which provides plenty of friction for an extra comfortable grip. On the downside, the back of the phone, which sports a glossy finish, attracts quite a lot of fingerprints. Now we have to make one thing clear, this is a rather large smartphone, so single-handed operation could be a challenge to some users, and don't expect it to fit nice and snugly inside the side pocket of your jeans. Also, considering the 5.5-inch diagonal size of its display, this is a rather tall handset, and presumably to accommodate the front-facing stereo speakers. The power and volume keys are located on the left side of the device. They feel okay, but could have used a bit more tactile feedback and travel. On the right side of the device are located the nano SIM card slot and the micro SD card slot. Both are protected by this removable flap cover. This massive 5.5-inch LCD display is one of the key selling points of the Desire 816. Some might consider its resolution rather disappointing, however, 720 by 1280 pixels. On one hand, this is indeed not the sharpest smartphone display that we've ever seen, but in our opinion, the resolution of this screen is perfectly acceptable. We find it very suitable for anything from watching movies and videos to playing games or browsing the web. When it comes to color reproduction, we are mostly satisfied with what we see. Colors are pretty accurate across the entire spectrum without being under or oversaturated. The viewing angles are pretty good as well. Our measurements, however, revealed some inaccuracies. Whites in particular have a slightly bluish tone to them because of the rather high color temperature of this display. Primary colors, however, are very close to their reference values. This screen has a brightness output of 389 nits, which makes it usable outdoors under broad daylight. However, its surface attracts fingerprints, and if these aren't cleaned, they will have a negative effect on its outdoor visibility. The HTC Desire 816 comes with Android 4.4.2, and on top of it, we have HTC's custom user interface known as Sense 6.0. This UI is known for its simplistic style and visual consistency, which are traits that rank it among the best of its kind. Functionality, of course, has not been overlooked, and as a matter of fact, many of the features found on the HTC One M8 flagship have been brought over to the Desire 816. For example, Blink Feed. Basically, this is a home screen dedicated to aggregating your social networking feeds together with posts from popular media news outlets. This brings relevant information right at your fingertips, and if you're a heavy social networking user, you might like this feature, and if you're not, you're free to turn Blink Feed off. This is the lock screen on the Desire 816. It features lock screen shortcuts here at the bottom, and gestures have been built into it for those times when you want to have quick access to Blink Feed, or in case you want to simply access your home screen. However, unlike the HTC One M8, the Desire 816 does not support those fancy double tap to wake gestures. Here we have the on-screen keyboard on the Desire 816. It is very large, which makes it very suitable for typing using two thumbs in either portrait or landscape orientation. And even if you make a typo, the keyboard is smart enough to correct it for you. Also, you get swipe-like text input in case you're a fan of this alternative input type. Here's one thing making it clear that we're handling a mid-range smartphone. The system on chip inside the Desire 816 is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400. It has a quad-core CPU with a maximum clock speed of 1.6 GHz, and there are also 1.5 GB of RAM inside this device. Don't let any of this disturb you. We know that the Desire 816 is not gonna break any benchmark records anytime soon, but in reality its performance is quite satisfactory. The UI is very responsive, even though it skips a frame every once in a while. Now, we are sure that some of you are wondering if the Desire 816 can handle any proper games. Well, we'll bring both good and bad news. The Desire 816 will run many of the newer titles, even those with 3D graphics. However, those very intensive 3D games might run at lower frame rates, and the experience is not gonna be perfectly smooth. Out of the 8 GB of onboard storage on the Desire 816, about 4.2 GB are available to the end user. Our advice is to get a microSD card for it. There's a couple of web browsers preloaded on the Desire 816, and this is the stock Internet one. Unfortunately, its performance isn't ideal. There are some lags here and there, especially when viewing a heavy web page. And also, we are not big fans of its tab switching interface. Simply switching between tabs takes too much time. Alternatively, you can use Google's Chrome browser, which comes preloaded on this device. It seems to be a little bit more responsive than the other one, and our advice is to just use this instead. The main camera on the Desire 816 has an impressive resolution of 13 megapixels, and it also has a single LED flash. The front-facing camera also is worthy of attention. It has a resolution of 5 megapixels and a wide-angle optic lens. Here we have the camera interface. It is really easy to use and quite clean and simple. Your settings are here at the top of a button, and you get access to control over ISO, exposure value, and the white balance. In addition, there's a bunch of modes that might come useful in some situations, including HDR, panorama, and night mode. As for the image quality of its photos, it turns out that the Desire 816 is a very capable shooter and probably one of the best performance in its price category. It preserves natural details in its photos, and it adds just a little bit of sharpness and contrast for a better look. There is some digital noise which can be seen when you take a really close look at the photo, but the high resolution of the image makes up for that. You can shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second with the Desire 816, or if you prefer, 60 frames per second video at 720p resolution. Slow motion video at 120 frames per second is also an option. Full HD footage looks good, with a little bit of added contrast to it. Details are sufficient, and the camera's autofocus works quite well. This is the stock music player on the HTC Desire 816. It can group your music by song, by album, or by artist name, and if there happens to be any missing album art from your collection, the player can download this automatically for you. It is interesting why HTC chose to not include an equalizer with its player, but instead you get this neat visualizer. One of the coolest perks that you get with the HTC Desire 816 is its pair of front-facing stereo speakers, dubbed Boom Sound. They sound great for a smartphone speaker. The sound is clear, loud, and free of distortion. We tested the phone call quality of the Desire 816, and quite frankly, we were expecting better results. The earpiece in particular sounds a little bit muffled and not loud enough. The microphone, on the other hand, is an excellent performer. On the other side of the line, our voice is loud, clear, and natural. Inside the HTC Desire 816, there's a 2600 mAh non-removable battery. We gave it our custom benchmark test, and it got us a result of 6 hours and 11 minutes, which is comparable to what we got from the Galaxy Note 3. That's why we're assuming that if you're not pushing it too much, you should get at least a day, and why not even 2 of usage out of this device. And in cases of emergency, you can turn on the phone's extreme power saving mode. This is used when the phone is really low on charge, and it shuts down all the non-essential features of the device. This will give you many more hours of standby time. To wrap things up, we had high hopes for the HTC Desire 816, and the phone did not disappoint us. With a price of under $400 unlocked, it strikes a great value for money ratio. So guys, if you're looking for an inexpensive phablet, you should check this one out. Chances are you'll be pretty happy with its 720p display and with the snappy performance of its user interface. The 30 megapixel main camera takes great photos, and the front-facing 5 megapixel camera will shoot excellent selfies. And seriously, how many phones of this price point will give you front-facing speakers? Processing power, however, is one of the things that the Desire 816 could have had more of. The Snapdragon 400 processor inside it gets the job done, but it might struggle with those really heavy 3D games. Thank you for watching our video review of the Desire 816. For more information about this great HTC phone, just visit our website phonearena.com.